All right, hello and welcome. I'm doing my recording on my phone for the first time. It's kind of cool. All right, so this is my traffic light creator by me. All right, so first I wanted to think, what interesting, worthwhile project can I make with these different color lights and a circuit? I wanted to really think about how can I go next level with this really cool device that I have. And I wanted to incorporate in that how can I relate a child's toy to some more rigorous math or science standards. So I wanted to go above and beyond kind of what was immediately obvious. So my original plan, which is what I did, was to just start using this stuff. My planning was just to get dirty with it. I wanted to post some stuff down. I wanted to get the copper paper down. I wanted to draw out some stuff and just see how it was going to go. My dad is an electrical engineer. He saw me doing this and he said, "Oh, you millennials never read the instructions." And I told him that I wanted to do it first so that when I read the instructions, they have a context to them. And I'm not just thinking about something that I don't really know much about. So after I did all this, I was able to go back to the drawing board and be more specific about what I can do and what I should be able to do. So my step here was to then create. I wanted to create, I tried to create a couple different things. The first thing I tried to create originally was that rainbow. My creation here was a stoplight where I had red on top, yellow in the middle, and green on the bottom. Brilliant me knew I didn't have green, but I figured I could use blue and yellow, and they're going to mix together to make green. And I felt really, really smart. But obviously, as you can see in this picture, that didn't happen. I tried to then diffuse the light through glass or through like tissue paper, and again, I could not get green. So I actually talked to my dad about this, and I did some research online, and I found that there's a really good lesson I could do here. And this is how I improved upon what initially seemed like a pretty simple design. I improved this design, and here is my lesson. So I'm going to use that exact thing that I created as a starter for teaching about the additive or subtractive color mixing. This is really, really cool. So additive color mixing comes when you actually shine light. You're actually adding light together. And the primary colors for additive light are green, blue, and red. And you can combine them in different ways to make different colors. Now, that's different from subtractive lighting. Subtractive lighting is what paint is. Because as we know, the color that you see from paint is everything that the paint is not absorbing. So we are subtracting things away. And what's interesting is that the subtractive lighting is actually all the inverse. So in additive lighting, primary colors some of the primary colors are different. So it actually turns out that with additive coloring, green is a primary color, so I cannot make green. So I say here with our new information, we have to design a solution to the green problem. Green can only be created as a primary color through additive lighting, but as a secondary color through subtractive. But we have lights, and lights are additive coloring. So what are we going to do here? I thought that was a really cool way to kind of make this a little bit more mathematically and scientifically rigorous. I wanted to add a little bit more on to the actual lesson here. Basically what's going to happen then is that once the students realize that this is a problem that can't be solved through light, then we're going to, yeah, okay, missed that middle part there. We're going to relate these concepts to measuring wavelength, how is wavelength measured, and then using math to predict new wavelengths based on that previous mixing. So this is where that math concept with the science comes into play, is understanding wavelengths, understanding how to measure them, and then understanding how to do math with wavelengths, either through addition or subtraction, to predict the light that's going to come out. So that's what makes this a really nice full STEM lesson. So does this present a real problem? I think it does present a real problem, because if you don't have green as a light and you need green, what are you going to do? There's some really limited answers there. Will students relate to the problem? I think so, because as I talked about in my lesson plan, we've been mixing colors and paints all our lives. To discover that that's a little bit of a lie, that light is different than the light from paint, I think that really relates. I think people can really connect to that. It does allow for multiple acceptable creative approaches. It does integrate science and math, as I kind of just talked about. There is the engineering design process here because you come to a point where it's impossible. There is no solution, and then you realize that what the real problem is, and you're able to go back at it. It's this iterative process. This is a student-centered hands-on activity. They're going to make this thing, realize the problem, and have to make it again. Does the lesson lead to design development of a model or prototype? Absolutely, several times. The role of technology is clear through not only the circuitry, but also going online, doing some study about the problem, and then finding different ways to measure wavelength. This does engage students in teamwork. This is probably the weakest part of it because it's not necessary, but it can be incorporated. We're absolutely testing the solution. In the very first time we see, hey, we think we solved the problem, but nope, you didn't make green. You really did not solve the problem. And then you will go on to communicate their design and results. So overall, I thought this was pretty fun. It brought some new information to my eyes. And that is all.